All right, so get ready, because this deep dive is going to take us somewhere you probably haven't been before. Well, actually, it's probably a place you've been many times before, especially this time of year, but we're going to look at it in a way you've probably never even considered.
Yep, that's what we do here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're diving deep into the origins of some of our most beloved Christmas traditions.
And I'm pretty sure you'll be surprised by what we find.
Oh, yeah. You're telling me that putting up my Christmas tree and stringing those twinkling lights has something to do with cultures that existed long before Christmas, as we know it even existed.
Well, think about it. Christmas happens during the winter solstice.
Okay, that's the shortest day of the year, right?
Exactly. And way back when, for ancient cultures, this wasn't just some date on the calendar.
It had a much deeper significance.
It was a huge symbolic event.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Because after the solstice, the days start getting longer again. It's like the turning point.
Exactly. It's all about the promise of renewal and rebirth, and that's what they were celebrating.
Got it. So, for instance, who should we start with?
Yeah.
What about the ancient Babylonians? They were way back there, right?
Oh, yeah, the Babylonians. They had a whole winter solstice celebration. That was really something.
Okay, but like, what did they actually do? I mean, did they have Christmas trees?
Not quite, but they had something even more dramatic. Huge bonfire.
Bonfires.
Yeah, giant bonfires symbolizing the sun's return, the promise of warmth and light after the long darkness of winter. You can imagine what a sight that must have been.
Wow, yeah, no kidding. That's pretty incredible. I'm already starting to see the connection to Christmas lights, you know?
Yeah.
That desire to bring light into the darkness.
Absolutely. It's a powerful symbol that has resonated across cultures for millennia.
So wait a minute, you're saying our Christmas lights are like a modern echo of these ancient Babylonian bonfires? That's kind of blowing my mind right now.
And that's just the beginning. We haven't even gotten to the Christmas tree or gift giving yet.
Well, hold on, let's back up for a second. How did this Babylonian tradition end up influencing Christmas? I mean, that's a huge jump in time and geography.
Good point. You see, cultures borrow from each other all the time. Ideas travel, especially when it comes to festivals and celebrations.
Makes sense.
It's like a cultural exchange program that's been going on for centuries, and the Babylonian influence spread to other cultures who put their own unique spin on things.
Got it. So who picked up on this Babylonian winter solstice celebration? Did it spread to Rome?
Absolutely. The Romans had their own winter solstice celebration called Saturnalia. It was a week-long festival in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture and time.
Saturnalia. Okay, I've heard of that, but I can't say I know much about it.
It was quite a party. Picture this. Everything is turned upside down. Social norms were relaxed. Masters served their slaves.
Wait a minute, seriously? Masters served their slaves?
That's right. It was a time for revelry and a total reversal of social order. And of course, lots of feasting, gift-giving, and general merriment.
So basically a week of utter chaos. Sounds like my kind of party.
Haha. Well, it was definitely a time to let loose before the order of everyday life was restored. But there's another connection to Christmas. They also decorated with greenery during Saturnalia.
Just like we do today with Christmas trees and wreaths and all that.
Precisely. They saw it as a symbol of hope and renewal, very similar to how we view it today.
Okay, so we've got these wild winter solstice parties happening in Babylon and Rome. Lots of revelry, gift-giving, decorations. But how does Christianity enter the picture?
Well, as Christianity spread, it cleverly incorporated a lot of these existing pagan traditions into its own practices.
Kind of like they were meeting people where they were at, culturally speaking. Makes sense,
Yeah.
right? It's a lot easier to convert people if you can adapt to their existing traditions.
Exactly. They were very strategic about it. And one of the most significant moves was placing the celebration of Jesus' birth in December.
Right around the time of the winter solstice. So they essentially merged the celebration of Jesus with these older celebrations of the sun's return.
Precisely. It allowed them to blend the idea of Jesus as the light of the world with those existing traditions celebrating the return of light after the darkness of winter.
Okay, now it's all starting to click. But what about some of the more specific Christmas traditions, like the Christmas tree, for instance? Where did that come from? Did the Babylonians or Romans have Christmas trees?
Not exactly, but the symbolism of evergreen trees goes way back. They were seen as symbols of eternal life in many cultures.
Because they stay green all year round, even in the dead of winter. They represent that enduring life force.
Exactly. And in Babylonian mythology, eternal life was also linked to their main god, Marduk. So there's a connection there, even if it's indirect.
So the Christmas tree is really a symbol of hope, renewal, and everlasting life. That's a pretty deep meaning for something we just decorate with tinsel and ornaments.
It is. It's a beautiful example of how ancient symbolism can be woven into modern traditions.
And the lights we put on the tree, that's got to be a connection back to those bonfires, right?
Absolutely. It's a direct descendant of those ancient celebrations of light conquering darkness. Every time you switch on your Christmas lights, you're participating in a tradition that stretches back thousands of years.
That's incredible. What about gift giving? I mean, everyone loves presents, but where does that fit into all of this?
Gift giving has roots in both those Roman festivals like Saturnalia and even earlier pagan traditions.
So you're saying that giving gifts at Christmas is like a modern version of making offerings to the gods?
In a way, yes. It's about reciprocity, giving, and receiving. That concept has resonated across cultures throughout history. It's a fundamental human impulse to express generosity and gratitude through gift giving.
So it's not just about getting the latest gadget or whatever's trendy. There's a much deeper meaning behind it.
Exactly. And while the pagan roots of Christmas became less emphasized over time as the nativity story took center stage, that doesn't mean they disappeared entirely.
So even though we may not be consciously aware of it, those ancient traditions are still very much a part of how we celebrate Christmas today. It's like they're hidden in plain sight.
Precisely. And that's what makes exploring the origins of these traditions so fascinating. It adds another layer of depth and meaning to the holiday.
It really does make you appreciate those familiar rituals in a whole new way. So, listener, we leave you with this. Now that you know about the ancient roots of Christmas, how do you view those twinkling lights and that beautifully decorated tree? Does this knowledge change how you feel about the holiday, or just make it that much more rich and meaningful?
Something to think about.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the origins of Christmas traditions. If you found this as fascinating as we did, I encourage you to dig a little deeper. You might be surprised by what you discover. Until next time.